All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another podcast with Unbreakable Faith. This month's topic is Thank God I Survived. We are your hosts, Michelle Dewitt Melissa Price. Want to take a moment to kind of introduce ourselves, tell you a little bit about Unbreakable Faith and what we do. And then we have a very, very special guest that we're going to bring on stage who's going to be able to tell you guys her journey of survival, which has such an amazing, positive, beautiful outcome to tragic things she experienced. I can't say enough about our guest today. But before we get started, I'll just tell you, my name is Melissa Price. I am the marketing coordinator, marketing liaison for Unbreakable Faith. I'm a mother of two, married, and I also have 3 fur babies. And I love talking to people. I love making a difference in this world. I love creating. And the biggest cause and thing on my heart is the issue of sexual abuse and sex trafficking. I'm a survivor myself, and I've been lucky enough to volunteer and help with several survivors in the years that I've been doing this. And it's something I think that needs way more awareness, and we're here to share that with you. So that's a bit about me. Michelle?
Well, I am the CEO of Unbreakable Faith, just as Melissa mentioned. I am a mother of 6 children. We have a wonderful, loving family. They call us the Brady Bunch, 3 boys and 3 beautiful girls. And also I am married to a wonderful husband, been married now for 14 years. With Unbreakable Faith, our organization, we help out youth and young adults that have been through sexual abuse, sex trauma, rape. We help them out by mentorship, and we offer workshops to parents in regards to making sure that they are aware of what their child is doing, how to help them to make great decisions. And we have other workshops with the Unbreakable Faith organization, ATM, with our youth, talking to them about how they can restore self-confidence and be successful, life skills, and so many different things. But today, that's enough about Melissa and I. Our guest on today, Miss Juri Love. Oh my goodness, just wonderful, wonderful. Just reading her bio. Juri Love, aka Goddess of Connection, is a child sex abuse, domestic violence, bullying, and homelessness survivor, originally from Japan. Now, what I just said was a mouthful. So I hope that you guys heard what I said. I'll say it again. She is a child sex abused, domestic violence, bullying, and homelessness survivor, originally from Japan. Currently, she resides in Foxborough, Michigan. She is a single mom with many accolades, including recipient of Heroes Among Us from NBA Boston Celtics.
Woo!
Yay, Jury! Volunteerism
All right.
Award. She received an award, volunteerism award from the New England Patriots. Oh my goodness.
Woo!
Award
That's the
winning.
team.
Yes. Also, award winning TV film producer. She is a journalist, a musician, a model, actress, podcaster, and advocate, most of all, for social issues, especially child abuse and trauma. Help me welcome Miss Juri Love to Unbreakable Space
Woo!
podcast right here.
Welcome. Thank you
Hi,
so much
Juri.
for being
We're
here.
so
Thank you. Thank you so much for the introduction and thank you for having me.
Well, we've given. I mean, I think we probably took
we are so
a lot of your
excited to have you on
introduction.
the
But take a moment and kind of introduce
show. We
yourself how you want to.
Sure, thank you so much. So my name is Juri Love and I again Michelle said I'm from Japan and I've been living in America for I think longer than when I lived in Japan at this point. And I
Hmm.
like you said, I'll do so many different things. But currently, I'm working as a journalist for the Sun Chronicle. I'm, by the way, Foxborough, Massachusetts, not Michigan.
I was
Uh,
gonna
so
say, I'm like, I'm
Oh, I'm
from
so
Michigan. I didn't know there was a Foxborough, Michigan.
yeah, so I came to
my
Berkeley.
apologies.
No worries. I came to Berkeley College of Music to study music, and then ever since then, I'm in Massachusetts. I love it, and like you said, I have a book out. It's called A Gift from Adversity.
I have it. I
Yes.
read it. I
Yes.
read it all in one day, guys. I got one chapter left to go, but I read this almost the whole book yesterday. And I told Jury before we came on live, I read a lot of books and I have a lot of books. It's the only thing I don't get rid of in my house. This is currently my favorite book of this entire year. So I highly recommend you guys get
Okay.
it. Let me put the name up for you guys. Um, I got mine on Amazon. Is there another place?
Melissa, let her finish her introduction.
I just wanted the people to be able to see the book and grab it.
Thank you so much for getting my book. Yeah, Amazon is the best place I would say. Or Book Logics is my publisher. Book Logics or Amazon. So like you introduced me, I'm a survivor of all these adversities, but currently, as Michelle mentioned, I'm a journalist. I've written about 600 articles so far, and I usually write 10 to 20, maybe 10 to 15 articles per month. I
Wow.
just I just finished writing 9 articles in 4 days, so that maybe tells you how
Wow.
much I work. And then I do produce TVs, and then I won some awards. Really excited. And then also, I've done many different things, including modeling and acting. I'm on Don't Look Up on Netflix, and then I've worked on Marvel movies. I was a photo double for Michelle Yeoh, who won all the Oscars last year for Everything Everywhere All at Once. I worked on the movie called Shang-Chi a little bit. And then I've worked on so many different projects in my life that I can't count. And I'm very grateful to have my beautiful two children who are extremely successful in any areas. My daughter is 7 years old. She's on the billboard and bus, um, like everywhere. And my son is also on Netflix and Emmy nominated. He flies an airplane. He wants to go to Coast Guard, MSRT, Congress. He wants to go to Yale for history major. He's only 13. He just turned 13.
What?
Teenager.
That's not, he's got a lot of
Wow.
aspirations for 13. My goodness. I think he probably gets it from his mom, though.
Yeah, I think. And my daughter wants to own a Chick-fil-A and hospitals
That's
and
awesome.
Okay.
hotel. And
Wow.
she said, "Mama, no one is going to take away my dream."
Okay. Awesome.
Amen. Amen to that. Amen to that. Wow. So, well, you again, you
That's
are
right. Her.
you're extremely accomplished, and I can't wait to get into some of the awards and things that you've won. Like I said, I read in your book some of the experiences you had around that. But what we'd like to do is kind of start at the beginning with you and how you got to this point. So, on your book,
Juri,
it
what
says
did you yeah.
in the book, it says you have overcome sexual abuse, domestic violence, bullying, and homelessness. So let's just start with you as far as what was life like growing up as a kid? What was family life like for you?
I would say that is the most difficult part of my life, and that really paralyzed me for many years, affected me in adult life in very significant way till this day. So it was not great. I was raised by abusers. Basically, after my parents got divorced, my father started to sexually abuse me physically, emotionally, psychologically, any possible ways. From I think probably 4 to 13 until I escaped from him.
Right.
And
He
then,
also abused your mom and your uncle, correct?
yeah,
Yeah. So
thank you.
dad was not just channeling it all in on you. I think like because your mom was being abused and then left,
Right.
and then he went and turned it all on you, right?
Yeah. So it was very hard because it was 1980s. Nobody knew about sexual abuse, child sex abuse. Nobody talked about this.
Right.
Nobody talked about PTSD.
Right.
Nothing, incest. No way. That
Exactly.
to the point that he
Yeah.
manipulated everybody. That I was a traitor, ungrateful. Um, when I told my mom, she didn't believe the sexual abuse part. However, she believed the physical abuse part because she's a victim also, because it's not educated.
Right.
And then I heard later on that 80% of mothers don't believe the child sex abuse occurred by their sexual partners.
Right. Right.
So
Uh-huh.
that's just such a disconnect. How I am
Yeah.
having sex with this person and that person is having sex with my child.
Right.
How would you
Yeah.
believe that?
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
And I think
It's a
that's
difficult.
honestly true. That's true. I watch
Yeah.
a lot of stuff on TV. I'm a big Steve Wilkos fan junkie also. And part of it is because there are so many stories where the kids are being molested by their father. And that's majority of what he has on his show. And I will say 90% of the moms never believe what their kids tell them. And so they have to take these lie detector tests. And then it all comes out that mom was wrong and should have done something,
Yeah,
So
so
yeah, that's
it's
true.
like,
That's very true.
so I was born 1976 in very, very small village, like 4,000 people lived and everybody knew everybody. So there was no way for me to get out of it. And then it was not just sexual abuse, but the physical abuse. Just an example, say he pulled my ear and then threw me to the wall. He grabbed my head and then pounded on the desk and then kicked me to the glass door. I had to escape. And when I escaped, he chased me with the car he grabbed me and then put me in his back of the car, like to beat me. So it's always either beating me up, throwing me to the wall, or sexually abusing me. One time I got blocked to go to bathroom on a tiny hallway,
Mhm.
unless otherwise he touched my breast, or he forced me to take bath with him
Yeah.
even when I was like 13, 12. I said no, but he actually gaslighted me to my grandma that I am not listening to him. I had to obey. But then when I
Mhm.
went naked with him, um he grabbed my hand and then forced me to touch testicles.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
massage, this is rough, this is nice. So and then my uncles are always touching my genital area and making me come, like orgasm. So they always like, ask me, this is a tickling game and it feels good, and then always came to my bed and then start to do these things. So those are just factuals. No matter however you or audience want to take it, feel it, that's up to you. But it's just what happened to me. And then what happened to me afterwards, when my mom didn't believe me, I tried to kill myself when I was 15, and she found me, and that's in my book as well.
It
And
is.
then
Yep.
also, she didn't understand why I was acting out. So she put me to some medication or so say psychologist, but it didn't work. And then so I think so thought I was very selfish. So I got kicked out, and I was homeless. And ever since I've
Mm.
been independent. But then what
Mm.
happened was when I became no, when I came to America, and then when I saw guidance counselor, she said, um you have this thing called PTSD. I'm like, what is PTSD? And that was 1998,
Mm.
1999. And then absolutely there's
Mhm.
no Me Too movement in this country either yet.
Yeah.
So when I
Mhm.
started seeing a counselor a little bit, it was very hard because I didn't understand. And then when I found really good counselor,
Mhm.
even then, like, when she asked me certain things, because I never really told much about what had happened to me, so
Right.
my brain is like so fired up every time. So I used to put my finger and threw up before I went to see a counselor.
Yep.
And then later on, I learned that that's kind of like a grounding technique, like,
Mm.
Yeah.
cutting and stuff.
Yep.
So that
Yep.
was like maybe 20,
Yeah.
my 20s. So yeah, it's been a long, long journey. I always tell people, you know, especially when you are a child and then you don't know what's going on and manipulated by abusers and perpetrators, that this is a good thing to do, and this is not a good thing to do. If I say
Mhm.
no, that I'm disobeying the parents, and
Yep.
especially in Asian countries,
Yeah.
these people in
Mhm.
power, whatever man authority figure, they exercise their power, and I get triggered by some, still, like, men, not so much for
Yeah.
women,
Yes.
men who have power,
Mhm.
who start to micromanage me or yell at me and stuff. I get really, really triggered. So
Well,
it
your
Mhm.
dad, it said, wasn't your dad like an authority figure?
he was a ton of
So
control.
it was really hard for anybody to believe your story because your dad was a man of power and recognized by everybody in that way and could never imagine him doing that, which I thought was like extra. That's an extra thing for you, being that he's in a power position where nobody, I mean, you literally had nobody hearing you through that.
Not at
So,
all. And then I actually became mute. Um, it's in my book.
yeah, you got bullied. You got bullied for being quiet, right?
Yeah, they say like, "Are you deaf?" and stuff. But then when I look back now, like, it was an extreme um mute moment, like frozen moment that nobody knew. I think right now in 2023, there are so many people who are aware of this child sex abuse and then how kids behave. But back then, nobody
Right.
caught it. Nobody
Yes.
saw why I could not
No.
even say. award. I don't know if you know Maya Angelou's story, that when she was raped and then told who it was, that guy got killed, and Maya Angelou was completely mute for years.
Yes.
And then when she became able to talk, then
Yes.
she tried to write these beautiful stories. So I was like that probably good week, and I just couldn't say a single word.
Yeah. And so,
Wow.
further into your book, once we got out of this, once you escaped, I know you did the homelessness bit for a bit. Another thing that really kind of struck me as what a horrible thing to experience, but you did say it was kind of a thank God it happened moment for you, is the fact that you did the foreign exchange program, went to America for a couple weeks, and then you loved it. And so then you applied for a longer duration, but and you were like, was it 18 years old? She came back from America
Mhm.
the date. Her sister picked her up from the airport and said, Mom says you can't come home. She had her bags, came back from America, and 18 years old, and
Mm.
mom said, no, you have to be dependent. So she was homeless then. She had to go. Tell them, what did you have to do? I mean, what was that like, having mom completely, you couldn't even come home after all those years of trying to get with her and away from dad. She made you independent. And I like the fact that you said, though, in the end, that if she hadn't have done that, you wouldn't have gone off to Berkeley. You wouldn't have gone off to do all these amazing things, but you had to really struggle to get through that. So what was that like, being told by your sister that you could not even come home the day you landed back from America?
Thank you for the question, Melissa. I didn't tell that in my book because this came out 2020, October 20th. So during the height of COVID, um, the whole Boston was shut down. However, I was doing Uber Eats, and I was probably the only
Mm.
few drivers who are delivering the food, and
Mm.
it was like a ghost town, and everybody was feeling isolated. But for me, Tokyo has such a big population and people are everywhere, but I've never felt that isolation and loneliness when I was homeless at park and stuff, or even like walking around, not knowing where I would go tonight. So I was comparing that moment and during the COVID-19 pandemic when I listed myself as an essential worker hustling around. This is like ghost town.
Yeah.
Nobody's here, but I have a roof above me. I have
Mm.
children. I felt very liberated. And then the compassion was kind of interesting when you are so surrounded by millions of people, but then when you're homeless and so silenced and so disguised within the population of millions, it's just like the worst feeling. And I would never hope anyone to be homeless at that young. Um, I've been to like club, 24 hours Denny's, and then
Yep.
like spend like
Mm.
100 yen or something for a refill, unlimited refill. Like, it's the worst time is about 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. because city is like completely silent, and then only a few places are open, and that's when you get really,
Mhm.
really lonely. And then what to do? I definitely
Mm.
slept on bench. Luckily, it was summer, at the park, and then some people are maybe doing drugs or something. I don't know, but sketchy, but not like dangerous. Japan is pretty safe place, but all of my friends, I think the hardest part was
Mhm.
comparison because all my friends went to college straight from high school, and I went to really good high school too. And then I obviously was homeless, and when everyone was like celebrating their college life. And in Japan, to get driver's license, you have to wait until 18, and then it's $5,000 cost, and not so many kids can afford it.
What?
Parents
Ooh,
would pay for
wow.
it, so I had no money to get driver's license
Yeah.
either. And it was just
Mm.
like the hardest part is comparing my high
Mm.
school friends doing so well and happy, and where I was homeless.
Didn't you? Okay. And another thing I
So
saw in your book.
not only did you deal with our homelessness, you were dealing with also having the issues happening in the home. In addition to now, you're dealing with another issue, being homeless. How long were you homeless?
Well, technically, around 3 weeks, I had nowhere to go. But then I found this job at the resort hotel where you stay there. Well, so basically, I was technically still homeless, but I was staying at the resort hotel where I worked as a server, as a chef, as a clean person, and like anything that happens in that resort hotel, like from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m., I worked really hard to get money. Then I got an apartment after. So I would say like good 2-3 months I was homeless.
And when you were homeless and doing your working, I saw there was a part in your book where you stumbled into the Yakuza. Let's hear about that one because I remember the man sat down and looked said, "Look me in the eye, little girl," and had a wonderful piece of advice for you. That really hit me. What happened there?
Uh, so I had this weird, sketchy job to deliver samples Monday, Tuesday, door to door, and then pick it up on Thursday, Friday to make a sale. So a very
Mhm.
sketchy job. I was like right after I was homeless and I got my apartment after working at the resort hotel. And then I was going door to door carrying this like, stuff, like random stuff to sell. And then you have no idea, like sometimes you knock the door and then no idea. Oh my gosh, it was such a long time ago. But I like accidentally went into Yakuza's office and I didn't realize. And then said, okay, sit down here. And there's like entourage of the boss, and the boss was in front of me. And then, looking at your eyes, you're a very smart person. You could go to like Tokyo University or something. Or
Yeah.
so, and then you never come back here, okay? But he bought some product from me at that moment. So it was like interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. I'm like, thank God she made it out of that one, you know?
I totally forgot about that part of my life.
Yes. So you did okay, so you started going to Berkeley
Oh,
and
wow.
things like really started turning around for you. Tell me about Ed Little. I want to say before you do, tell me about Ed Little. One thing I really appreciate about your book is it's almost every other page. You put so much gratitude and love towards so many specific people that have helped you and people that you've helped also. But Ed Little kind of really stuck out to me. Tell us about Ed.
Well, I don't know if I can make it through without crying.
I know. I cried too. I cried when I read about it. That's why I brought him up.
Oh my gosh. So Ed's picture is in my living room, and like enlarged one. So this is a man, Cherokee, from Arizona. And at the time I was an exchange student doing choir competition in San Francisco. And then my school was in near Seattle, like 2 hours away. And then we got an opportunity to go to competition in San Francisco, Victoria, like Island, no, Vancouver and Victoria. And then it was just so great to travel with the choir group. And then Ed actually was a driver for the San Francisco trip. And then I was playing piano and he came up and he's like, you have a God-given talent, don't ever give up. And he kept that words. And then when I was homeless, we kept it. We didn't have Facebook back then. Mark Zuckerberg was not born yet.
Right.
So, and then basically we exchanged physical letters because we kept in touch. And then each letter that he sent me, I was so looking forward to the letters. And then when I got an apartment, and then he said, don't ever give up on music. So when I had a food poisoning and I almost kind of, thought I was gonna
Yeah.
die. And then the ads like kind of not brainwashed me, but like implemented me of this idea of I can do this thing again. And then when you're homeless, obviously your food comes first, your rent comes first. The piano is luxurious thing
Yeah.
that I didn't even think about having it, right? So when I got to the point that, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? Then that's like the turning point. Okay, I am going to quit this sales job so I don't run into Yakuza again.
Yes.
But also, change the job that's more stable, not relying on the 100% commission, and then was able to save more money. So I ended up saving like $30,000 by myself when I was 21,
Yeah.
and then I got a scholarship and then came here. So Ed encouraged me. Then we kept in touch, and then when I graduated Berkeley, after we actually got on a tour, and then when I went on a tour, he came to visit me in California, and it was really great. And then the day before he died, not that day before, the last phone call I had before he passed was, Juri, I love you and I'm proud of you.
I know. I remember that too. He was a very special man in your world. And like I said, you mentioned so many people and I love that. Like, I can't say enough about your book, just the way it's put together. You have so much beauty and gratitude that came from such horrific experiences. So unfair and unthinkable that a child would have to go through. But you're a fighter. You are a solid fighter. I mean, I can't say that I would have been so resourceful and resilient if it were to happen to me in these days and times. But I'm proud of you and grateful that you made it through it. Um, and I wanted to ask too, another part that actually made me cry in your book was when you got the award in the stadium and what it felt like to have all of those people explain what that moment was like, because I know you got through without crying on Ed, but I want to see that face light up and tell everybody what that moment was like when you got that award and were in the stadium.
Sure, I don't think that would make me cry, but
It made me cry because it was so beautiful. Like, wow, after everything you went through, you definitely deserved that moment and so much more. And I loved the way that you put it. I felt it. I felt it in that moment when I was reading it. Like, that's why I cried. I'm like, what a glorious thing.
it was glorious. Actually, Damian Lillard, NBA player, was next to me when we took the picture, and then got chauffeured and got sat behind the CEO of Boston Celtics, and then got a center court and 17,000 people standing ovation under the spotlight. It was just unthinkable moment. And then yeah, it was just like one of those moments that when I remember, when I look, it just happened really fast, but like felt forever. And
Yeah.
then I would definitely hold on to that. And thank you for reminding me, because I have a trophy in my kind of a kitchen separate wall. But sometimes when you are caught up with a lot of daily life and kids and single mom and running around everywhere, you don't think about those things. I'm like really happy that you're reminding me of my accomplishment and then the highlight of my life. And
Yeah.
what happened was, I was running a nonprofit to help juvenile offenders. Um,
Guiding voices.
Genuine Voices, yes.
Genuine voices. That's
I
right.
ran it for 12 years as a president and founder. I started when I was 26 years old, and we had a great, great, great run and support. And one of the board members recommended me to be nominated for the he nominated me for Boston Celtics Heroes Amongst Awards, and then I received it. But I got to go to the State House later on the year to meet all the recipients of the Heroes Among Us, and that was very inspiring too.
Yeah, I can't even imagine being in a stadium of that many people cheering. But you definitely deserved it. So
Juri, tell me, I don't know, am I freezing or something? Can you
you're
guys hear
freezing a
me?
little bit, but we can hear you. We can hear you. Go ahead and ask your
Oh,
question.
okay. So Juri, tell us a little bit more about what you are doing in regards to working with more, dealing with survival, the youth in the survival. What are you doing currently?
Are you specifically talking about sex abuse?
Yes.
I am very proud to say I just became facilitator. I just gained facilitator certificate for darkness to light training. I don't know if you know Darkness to Light. It's a nonprofit organization to educate adults to prevent child sex abuse. You can take a class online or in person. Unfortunately, the town of Foxborough, where I live,
Awesome.
um, so unfortunately, there's a guy named Bill Sheehan. You can look it up on the internet. He is already passed, but in like I would say 80s, he molested hundreds of boys in this town. And then recently, a grown man came forward to selectman's meeting, and this happened. And then after the investigation, a lot of people came forward. So the town of Foxborough would decide decided to first apologize to the victim. But not only that, they really made a commitment to create child sex abuse awareness committee, which meet every month. Um, I written an article about it, and then it's comprised
Yes.
with the school superintendent, police officer, uh, charge civilians, and then recreation department. All the leadership comes together to make sure that everyone's trained, and we made a bill that every town employee must go through the darkness light training, every single one of them, even electrician, plumber, whoever comes in the building, also like baseball, football coaches. So we are very progressive about preventing the child sex abuse because of the history. And then me like myself, I was abused back in Japan, but then when I came to the meeting, they gave me a platform to speak out what's the aftermath of effect of the child sex abuse. And then I think that even if you're not victim, that I think you can kind of empathize, understand the magnitude of it. So I'm very proud. A couple of weeks ago, I sat 9 to 6 Zoom class, and then the beautiful things about it is Hockomock area YMCA sponsored the facilitator training fee, which is $450. They did a fundraiser to pay for it, so I didn't have to pay. So now I can
Mhm.
train, people who needs to be
Mhm.
educated about child sex abuse, and then facilitate the program, and then let them be certified trainer. Not get certified for training and bringing awareness. One of the things that struck me is teaching children body parts as is. So, for example, one of the father was abusing a girl, and she said to the teacher, my dad ate my cookie, and then they didn't understand what it was, but it was vagina. So it's the training teaches you why do this is mouth and no nose, and then why can't you teach your child penis and vagina, that those are the things that can
Right.
like future
Right.
prevent the child sex abuse. And also bad touch, good touch, who can touch you, who cannot touch you. And then I think most impressive thing that we have in this town is I volunteer at the Foxborough Cable Access. If the minor is in the building, we need to have two adults within
Yes.
a distance, which can prevent a lot of things. Baseball coaches, they cannot take another child alone.
Right.
So it's a lot of policies that are there, but then actively, more eyes are better. More people who are aware of child sex abuse could say, hey, that's not okay. Because it's not just the child, but the adults who can prevent these. So I'm very proud, not as a survivor, but now I became facilitator, and then being able to educate other adults that would actually be able to protect children against child abuse.
Yeah. That's awesome. And it's called Darkness to Light.
Correct.
I'm gonna have to, is it online? I can look it up.
Yeah,
Okay.
DTL, and then D2L. It's D two number two L, and Ali Raisman, who won the gold medal. The physicians who are sexually abusing all the athlete
Mhm.
case. So Ali Raisman,
Yeah.
who got gold medal, United States gymnastic champion, she's an advocate for darkness light to light as well.
Wow. I think all of our cities can stand to have
Okay, that's
something.
awesome.
That's, I mean, that's a lot of what Michelle, we do at Unbreakable Faith too, is a lot of the
Mhm.
preventative sort of things, educating the Real Talk parents workshops that you guys do at Unbreakable Faith. I think that is a really important thing for prevention. And something you were saying, Juri, when you were talking about like the aftermath of things, that was
Yeah,
actually
if we educate our then we'll be able to.
we can't hear you.
I think she's frozen.
Yeah, she's frozen. Come back to us, Michelle. Right, she'll come back when she comes back. Hold on.
Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you. Yeah,
I'm sorry, guys.
it's okay.
Apologize.
They're doing
I
phone
was
line work in
asking a
her building.
question about. I was. Yes. Ugh. Today out of all days. But nevertheless, yes, I believe that it's my statement was I believe that it's important for our parents to be well educated. And I commend you for doing that and holding people accountable in what they're doing. I commend you for that.
Thank you very much. Yes.
And so you were talking about the aftermath of things, and that was actually our two podcasts we did last month were kind of all around um, trafficking and sex abuse, the statistics, you know, the facts, and then a topic we talked about was the psychological aftermath for anybody who survived. I know you did a lot of counseling, but you also mentioned EDMR.
EMDR.
EMDR. What does that stand for? And tell us more about that.
Sure. So EMDR stands for movement resensitizing deprocessing. So EMDR, sorry, eye movement desensitizing reprocession, something. So basically, EMDR is discovered by Dr. Shapiro in 80s to treat the Vietnam veterans from PTSD. So it's not really, it wasn't originally designed for child sex abuse,
Oh,
but some of my friends who were sexually abused
okay.
recommended me, one from Japan and one from America. They both tried EMDR. The EMDR is non-invasive. It's no medicine. You just follow a light or feel the buzz right, left, like zzz, zzz, zzz. And then while you are doing that with the certified counselor, you think about the worst moment that you had. And then after 5 minutes or so, you state what you saw and then what happened. So that's pretty much the concept of it. And the um, co- I think the background is REM sleeping when you are having rapid eye movement when you're sleeping. It cleanses the day of trauma or some anxiety while you're sleeping. It's just a coping mechanism that we have as a human being. But Dr. Shapiro thought about it. How can we um, do that when you were awake? So it's a rapid eye movement. So if you do consistency of eye moving, following the lights like or like a buzz, then when you think about those things, what happens is this limbic part of the brain that stores your trauma. And
Mhm.
then when you take the temperature of your brain when you are having the PTSD trauma moment, basically the limbic part, which is a primitive part of your brain, most primitive part of the brain, which animals all have. What we have difference between animals and human is cognitive part of the brain,
Mhm.
where the limbic part gets very red and fired up, when the cognitive part gets black and shut down. So just for an example, if your car is set on fire, you don't think about, oh, I need an iPhone charger. You just run. And then that's
Right.
kind of how cognitive part shuts off. And then that's how I live or survivors live. For instance, when man yells at me, when something triggers me, my cognitive part shuts down. I can't even remember where I parked my car. So that's kind of the survival mode that we use to escape from the extreme trauma. But then as a survivor, it's a long-term effect and it triggers that. So for instance, veterans, if somebody's behind them at the mall, that can trigger them in a complete panic mode, and then they
Yeah.
don't know what to do. So as to be as productive, as logical as possible, even though when you had this significant trauma in your life, I think the EMDR's benefit is that after the fact that you go through a couple sessions with EMDR, the goal is really to see the past event as a movie, as
Yeah.
something that occurred to you. However, you can see as objective as possible. And
Right.
that's what you're doing it
Mhm.
naturally every day to go through. People would always say, hey, tomorrow is a different day. My son always said, mommy, tomorrow is a different day. You know, it, every day is different. So I think the goal of EMDR is how can you isolate the incident that occurred, like rape, sexual assault, sex
Mhm.
trafficking, um, any type of any types of body violation can be such a long-term trauma and
Yeah.
effect. So EMDR could really case by case, but not only isolate the event, but like really neurologically be able to bring the trauma that's completely heated, stored in the limbic part of the brain to kind of like a calmer part of the brain where you say, hey, this is what happened to me, but that's not who I am. And that's really the goal.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I liked you. I think the way that you explained it in the book was great. How the doctor gave you the plastic brain,
Okay, well,
and that, like, oh, get away, kitty cat. So that, like, that the trauma is stored back here, and the point of it is to bring it to the cognitive part so that the healing can be, so you can process it. Because the trauma is you store and you don't want to deal with it. You don't want to process it. You just shut it off, black it out, whatever. I have a friend of mine who runs a nonprofit, and she's also a survivor, and she does a lot of neuro treatment kind of stuff like that. And so that kind of stood out to me. I've never heard of EMDR before. Do you know, is that something that's commonly used now and offered and available? Is it expensive? I mean,
Well, insurance should cover it, but then best thing that you can do is if you Google EMDR certified counselor in your area,
mhm,
a lot of people come up, and I think it's getting so much more popular and
yeah.
accessible. So definitely look into EMDR if you're a survivor.
Yeah, I think that's awesome that that's available.
awesome.
Um,
Jury, well, I'm looking at the time, Melissa, and we want to go ahead, and we don't want to hold jury. The time is at hand. Jury, what could you tell our listeners? How can they get in contact with you? And also, what would you say to anyone that has been through sexual trauma or sexual abuse?
Well, thank you so much for the question. First of all, my Instagram is at Juri Panda. And then my book is A Gift from Adversity. It's available on Amazon. So um, my Facebook is Juri Love. It's open. Yes, thank you so much. I'm pretty um, open book, and anyone can communicate with me. I'm a journalist, so I always be transparent with you. And I feel it's my mission to be able to voice because I was muted and silenced for a long time. My advice to people who might been going in through, or even people around it, I have a chapter, it's called My Message in my book. But one of the things I really even recently learned is to understand that obviously it was not your fault, but also to know, however, you have this racism, socioeconomic differences, and nepotism, whatever the exercise that you can do as poor, rich, you all have 24 hours in your day, and 24 hours will never discriminate you. How do you use that? Do you want to spend 20 hours thinking about my dad and my child sex abuse? I've done that like a long time, and I don't
mhm,
want to do that again. So
right.
if you are thinking about what had happened, you can't fix it, but you can fix how you utilize your time that's given equally, which is 24 hours. So use your time wisely, as productive as possible, as positive as possible, and surround yourself with great friends who would never judge you and then support you. And those are my advice.
Amazing, amazing. Juri, we cannot thank you enough for being so transparent and honestly, thank you for this book. And I really hope that it's in your maybe your goals to write another one, because you have a forever fan here. I highly recommend this book to anybody in the world. You don't have to have the same story to read the book. It definitely breeds awareness, and just thank you so much for all the hard work that you do. You've been a fantastic example. I'm sure, and your kids, I think, are completely beyond blessed to have you as a mother. And I'm definitely going to be following along with Darkness to Light and the things that you're doing. And you're just an amazing woman. And thank you for being with us.
Absolutely. Thank you, both of you.
So we next week we're going to have another guest coming on, and again the topic is going to be Thank God I Survived. And we thank God that Juri survived. I thank God I survived. I know, Michelle, you thank God you survived too. And even though these stories are dark in the beginning, like, I think, Juri, you're a perfect example of how you can turn it around. You never gave up. You kept fighting no matter how deep the struggle was. And look at you now. Look at you now. You are a shining beacon of hope and light to so many people around the world now. So thank you for being here. And Michelle, you got any final last words before we close?
I am grateful to have you on the show, Juri. Again, thank you for being here. I believe Melissa said it all.
I'm long-winded. What can I say? All right, guys. So we will see you next week. Stay tuned to the YouTube channel, Facebook channel. We always have the dates posted. We're going to go ahead and close out with our Thank God I Survived clip. And we'll see you guys next week. And again, thank you so much, Juri.
Thank you.
Y'all stay safe and be blessed.
Bye.